Hello, friends. This is Dr. John WorldPeace, JD, coming to you from Albuquerque, New Mexico, 12 o'clock noon, Mountain Time. I'm going to talk today. This may take become a two-part video. We'll just have to see. I don't like to go more than 30 minutes for a video. Anyway, these are the qualifications I declare to be necessary for anyone to run for the office of President of the United States in 2024. This basically is laying out my qualifications compared to everybody else that's running. Introduction. I have no peers on this planet in regards to my qualifications to teach peace and advocate world peace in all its iterations. This has been a lifetime project for me. I've got the brain pan of Einstein, but my area of expertise is increasing the peace in the world human society, not science. I have close to 18,000 pages on my website, johnworldpeace.com. All my websites are linked to that flagship website. Running for president requires a foundation in many critical areas. Most politicians are one-trick ponies and have to day-to-day deal with their constituencies. I am not a one-trick pony. I am a high-energy, high IQ polymath, and the proof of that is on my websites that have been on the internet since 1998. I've lived a very open life. The reason I'm running for president is because most Americans believe Biden is too old and Kamala is not experienced enough for the presidency to follow Biden if it comes to that. And Trump is too chaotic. Americans want to move away from both. In these days and times of the greatest social transition in human history, a run-of-the-mill, one-trick pony career politician is not adequate to take on the job of President of the United States and leader of the world. Politics of the presidency of the USA. Let me say this first off. Donald Trump is a liar and a traitor and is soon to go to jail by court order. I think when the time comes, Trump will seek asylum in Russia. He is not man enough to survive even one day in jail, much less the rest of his life. I was a Texas political prisoner during 2008 for my attacks on the corruption of the Texas Democratic Party in the 2002 governor's race. I would not shut up saying that if they continued their dark path, white Texas males would abandon the Democratic Party for the Republican Party, and that is exactly what happened. Texas has been Democratic since the Civil War. The Democratic Party refused to listen to my warnings, and Texas is now solid red. As retribution, I became a political prisoner. See my legal pleadings in this matter below as a link to one of my websites with that information. That said, I will add this. Trump is a hardcore criminal traitor. There's not a single Republican who has signed up to run for president who equals Trump in his combativeness, his determination, and his perseverance. Certainly no one can compete with his moment-to-moment lying about everything. There's only one person who is more tenacious, determined, and perseverant than Trump, and that is me, Dr. John WorldPeace, JD. As to being a Christian, Trump curses the message of Jesus to heal the sick, feed the hungry, shelter the homeless. He cursed the radical liberal left every day of his presidency. Trump is an abomination to God, and an affront to everything Jesus stands for. Any corporate Christian that supports Trump is doomed to hell per Jesus. Matthew 25:31-46. Read it. I'm the only global advocate for peace and world peace and the only advocate for Jesus Christ. John 14:16. I've written almost a dozen books on Christianity and a half dozen books on the other major religions. I'm a spiritual Christian. I'm the head of no church or organization, but I have outlined a path for gatherings of spiritual Christians. The Purple Order of Spiritual Christians is the website on that. It's again referenced below the video here. The time has come for the entire world, human society, to turn away from the radical right political philosophies and move back to the sanity and moderation and cooperation that belongs in Washington. Number one on my list of about 12 items here, the Masonic Lodge. The time has come to return to the founding fathers of this nation and the Masons who were the major influencers of the American Revolution. The ancient, free, and accepted Masons. Who were the Masons involved in the founding of the United States? The signers of the Declaration of Independence: Ben Franklin, Elbridge Gerry, John Hancock, William Hooper, Richard Stockton, Matthew Thornton, George Walton, William Whipple. Others were alleged to be Masons, but their lodge membership has never been confirmed. These presidents were Masons: George Washington, James Monroe, Andrew Jackson, James K. Polk, James Buchanan, Andrew Johnson, James Garfield, William McKinley, Theodore Roosevelt, William Taft, Warren Harding, Franklin Roosevelt, Harry Truman, and Gerald Ford. A lot of you didn't know that, but the million Masons that are active in the United States, they all know this. Anybody that studied even a little depth in the American history knows that the Masons have played a very big leading role. Which candidates for president in 2024 are Masons? I don't know of any except myself. Dr. John WorldPeace, raised 1975, Oak Forest Lodge, number 1398, Houston, Texas. In April 1988, after I changed my name, I withdrew from every organization I was a member of. If I want to renew my membership in the Masonic Lodge, there's nothing to prevent that. My father, Vernon Walter, and I were raised to Master Masons on the same night. You can see the vetting documents, again, referenced below as far as which pages that's on. I don't make lying statements. If I say I'm something, or if I say I'm something, then I've got documents on a website to prove it. I'm not just saying things just to try to gain some votes, which are, like Trump, a lie. Anyone who knows anything about the Masonic Lodge knows that you have to ask to join in a petition with two Masons vouching for you. Then you have to memorize a significant amount of Masonic information and be raised from entered apprentice to fellowcraft to a Master Mason. The final act is a vote by the lodge members where you cannot receive one single black ball. If you do, you're not allowed to join. Any Mason from any lodge anywhere in the organization can blackball a potential candidate. My father and I also joined the Scottish Rite, and the Arabian Shrine Temple in Houston. When I changed my name in 1988 in April, I disengaged from every organization I had belonged to because I felt membership in any organization separated me from advocating world peace. I believe that world peace is egalitarian and democratic, and being a member of any organization is elitist and exclusionary, no matter to what degree, how minor it is. I also disengaged from Mensa and my church memberships. That being said, discharging from the Army does not erase your service or wipe out your memory of what you learned and committed to. Disconnected from a church bureaucracy does not make you a non-Christian. Disconnecting from the Masonic Lodge does not erase your participation. I believe philosophically that my membership in any organization is an impediment to my world peace advocacy. With regards to masonry, one rule is absolute, and that is the prohibition against discussing politics or religion at gatherings. I can assure you that the Masons trying to control the world is nonsense. They try to create a higher class of citizen. Women have a collateral organization called the Eastern Star. 2. My military lineage goes back to the Continental Army. My grandfather, William Roundtree, was a sergeant in the Continental Army. My grandfather, Reese McPherson, was a surgeon in the Confederate Army from Mississippi. My grandfather, Jim C. McQuaig, was a private in the CSA from Georgia. Both served through the entire Civil War. Any candidate for president who is not a veteran is going to be hammered by me as being an American in name only. There is no reason an American should not join the military after high school or college. As president, I will bring back the Peace Corps as an alternative service for those who do not want to go into the military. If neither a candidate for president, candidate's parents, or their children or grandchildren have served in the military, that candidate is not worthy to be president. He or she will not support the military as vigorously as if he or she served his country. Being female is no excuse. My father, World War II Army. I was infantry sergeant, Army, Vietnam era. My 3 sons, Marine Corps. My son-in-law, Navy. My grandson, Army, Afghanistan. All served their country. Further, in the early 1970s, when I was about to finish college, I signed up for the Marine Corps Officer Candidate School. In July of 70, I was discharged because I was told they could only take engineers for the next class due to changes from Washington, and I had a political science degree. On October 14, 1970, 2 days after I entered basic training in the Army, the Marines called my wife and said they had a place for me in March 71 officer candidate class. They wanted me to discharge from the Army, re-enlist in the Marines, and I told my wife to tell them no, that I was not going to discharge for 6 months and hope the Marines did not change their mind again. I was trained for 11 months as an infantry sergeant in the Army to go to Vietnam. When I reported to Fort Dix in September 71 to ship out to Vietnam, I was sent instead to the NATO forces, Southern European Task Force in Vicenza, Italy, where I was stationed until I was honorably discharged. See my vetting documents. Number 3, my parents and sisters went to the Presbyterian Church and Sunday school 49 Sundays a year from when I was born until I started college. I have a very deep understanding of corporate religion and spirituality and have written a dozen books on these subjects. I no longer go to a corporate Christian church on Sunday since 2015 when I was denied entrance to Calvary Church here in Albuquerque and ushered out of the entrance by 8 guards, some armed, at the express direction of the false preacher who runs that church, Skip Heitzig. Mr. Heitzig took great exception when I told him by email that I talked to God before I was born. He read the email because he made reference to it on Sunday, the next Sunday after I wrote it. He said he did not believe anyone who said they talked to God before being born. This guy needs to be run out of town and tar and feathered. It's just crazy. Any candidate who wants the Christian vote needs to go to church more than a few times during the campaign. I'm a believer in Jesus, not a corporate religionist of any stripe. I'm a spiritual Christian, not a bureaucratic Christian member of a corporate church. I believe in Jesus, not the church. The church is just another political party, in my opinion, especially now that they've morphed into Christian nationalism. Jesus was not political. He was asked about Caesar. Jesus said, "Give me a coin. Whose face is on it? Caesar's. Give to Caesar what is Caesar." Jesus was not setting up a political party, and now these misguided corporate Christians are setting up their national Christianity, whatever it is, but it's not Jesus. I came into this life with Jesus and God as my foundation, and I've never lost my faith. I'm not a born-again Christian. The book of Hebrews and Jeremiah say that God wrote his laws on our hearts and minds, and no one needs to teach anyone. Quoting the Bible, God has put his laws into the hearts and minds of every human being, and no one needs to teach anyone. Jeremiah 32:34, Old Testament, Hebrews 8:10-12 in the New Testament. Just look inside yourself if you want to know God and Jesus. You can't follow any preacher to heaven. When the blind lead the blind, both fall in the ditch. Matthew 15:14. You find God by prayer, study, and meditation. I have proposed a new vehicle for Christianity on my website, the Purple Order of Spiritual Christians. This is not an organization. It is a guide to Christian spirituality in the third millennium as opposed to the corporate religion of the first and second millennium. Paul built the corporate church, not Jesus, who attacked corporate religion at every turn. See my book, The Peace and Harmony Gospel of Jesus, and see if you can find anything in the red letter words of Jesus where he praised the Jewish religious bureaucracy. It's not there. Further, if you go to my main Christian website, King of Kings, Lord of Lords, again referenced below, you will see that I have reorganized the first 4 Gospels of the New Testament in order to cut the repetition. It is called the Third Millennium Gospel of Jesus Christ. I have not been able to get this book published because stupid people say that I've plagiarized the Bible. Give me a break. These people are nuts. I will solve this problem this year. I'm rewriting, updating that gospel. For your information, Donald Trump, who you have heard during his presidency, cursed the radical liberal message of Jesus to heal the sick, feed the hungry, and shelter the homeless, only poses as a Christian. You cannot follow Jesus on Sunday morning and Trump the rest of the week. You cannot reconcile the saving message of Jesus and the political attacking of that message by Donald Trump. Wake up. And anyone who supports Donald Trump, any of these corporate preachers, well, they're right in the boat with him. They're fake and false preachers if they're promoting Donald Trump, who's cursing the core message of Jesus. I've also written another more pointed book, The Third Millennium Second Reformation of Christianity, available on Amazon.com. No corporate Christian preacher has ever challenged me on what is in this book or anything else I have written. The reason is that my book is grounded, and this one in particular, is grounded only in the red letter words out of Jesus' mouth in front of witnesses and to his disciples. So to challenge what I have written is to challenge Jesus, who I quoted. Not myself, Jesus. The red letter words. I have no religious organizations and never will, no members, no followers, no disciple. What I'm saying is that without a significant religious or spiritual understanding, a person has no business running for President of the United States. Attacking Muslims is not the American way. Not all-inclusive American democracy, the light of the world. 4. I have a law degree and practiced law for almost 20 years. We can all see what happens when you have a non-lawyer as president. Donald Trump was lost as president. He is ignorant of the most basic foundation of American law, foundations. As a result, we had chaos in the White House when he was president. Also, I have a BA in political science. In addition, I understand the workings of family and criminal law that I practiced. I also have a Bachelor of Accountancy degree. I worked full-time and went to college full-time for 9 out of 10 years that I went. I never applied for any student loans, never had a scholarship. I had no college-related debt when I graduated. Again, look at my vetting documents. Number, I think this is 4. I was a member of Mensa and Intel, which means my verified IQ, see the vetting documents, is in the top 1%. Donald Trump is a low mentality human being. He says he's smart. If he is, he should show us by taking the Mensa test. Any candidate who doesn't have a high IQ, top 2%, required by Mensa is not qualified to be president. Not this day and time. Trump says he's not stupid, but he was twice impeached, and now he faces indictment over classified documents, which is going to put him in jail by his own testimony. That case is going to end with a summary judgment before it gets started. Your Honor, Donald Trump has admitted to everything we've accused him of. In public, on tapes. Give us a summary judgment and put him in jail. I say, if you're a candidate for president, take the Mensa test. If a candidate does not take it, that candidate could not pass it. Period. No more stupid liars in the White House. The left side of my brain is as developed as the right side. What this means is that I can do math and accounting and computer programming as easily as I can do poetry and art. I have written over 8,000 poems since 1970. See the website below, Dr. John WorldPeace JD, poetry.com. And I'm engaged in a fight with the corruption of the Pulitzer Poetry Prize as managed by Columbia University, and Lee Bollinger is president and therefore head of the Pulitzer Prize. No one is born a genius. Many are born with the potential of becoming a genius. It is necessary to use one's mental abilities and intensely study the areas you're interested in order to reach the top of your field of study later in life. I've worked at making a living and pursuing my world peace advocacy 80 to 100 hours a week since the 11th grade when I went to work part-time. At 75, nothing has changed. I have no intention with regards to retirement and never will. Now I'm going to cut this tape off here, but this is number 1 of 2, and I will designate that on the titles of these when I post them to YouTube, probably later on today. Today being June the 21st. I'll meet with you again on the next video. Have a great day.